Next, we are going to export and import a project on FME Flow. Please make sure you've got Follow Presenter turned on, as I'm going to demo this in my lab again. So on the FME Flow page, if I click the Projects tab, we can see projects already on this flow. We've got this food vendors one, but to start off, we're going to import one, and I'm going to browse the file system. Now the project I'm going to import, going to find, this will be the same one you guys will import as well. Data, workspaces, publish workflows to the web, exercise, this one, FS project. Click open. Now we have the project there. So I have the option to quick import, which it skips the configuration steps and will import everything in the project. I will have the option to overwrite items that already exist that way as well, but clicking the import gives me a preview and gives me a little bit more configuration options, which is especially important if you've got quite a lot in the project. This one, we've just got a repository in a workspace that actually already exists. So if I deselect the overwritten one, it won't import anything. But I'll leave this selected, and we will overwrite these items. And I'll click continue. So we can deselect specific items like connections, deployment parameters, or tokens, or even users that come with projects. This project's pretty simple. It just has the workspace and the repository with it. So there isn't anything here. But once you get into some more complex things like connections and parameters, this will be pretty key because basically projects, the best use that I know of for them is moving items from like your development to your production FME flow, whereas in each of those you would have connections and they might be referenced the same, but you don't want your dev connections on your prod instance and vice versa. So you would want to deselect your connections here to make sure they don't get imported and overwrite your production connection files here. Hopefully that makes sense. There's an option to resolve owners. We have no problems here. The project was created with an admin. I'm the admin, or logged in with the admin user, so we're good. And additional options. There's nothing really here that we need to worry about, so we can just click import project today. So it says it's complete, so I can click view projects, and here we go. We've got that project, and if I open it, we can see that that workspace is included. If we click this button, we can view dependencies. This workspace doesn't have any connections or data files associated with it, so there isn't any dependencies as it says here. But if you say had an automation that would have workspaces and then that workspace would have connections, the view dependencies would be pretty useful to see all the items that are attached to it, and that will be included in your project. So that's importing a project. Now I'm going to create and export a project. So I can click create, and I'm going to name it Flow Authoring Training 2025. That's the first of 2025. I usually put 2024. And we've named it and given it a description. So we'll scroll down and we'll add items. So the item I'm going to include, I'm going to use a workspace. And I'm going to pick from the samples repository and I'm going to add both the Austin Apartments and the Austin Download workspace. So now I can see here, those are the selected items. And I'll click Add Items to add them. And now we can see them. They're listed in the project contents. Again, these workspaces don't have any dependencies, but if they did, we could view it there. And I'll click Create. So now that I've created this project, I can go up to Actions and Export. I'll give my project a file name. Usually I take some of this stuff off. It's totally up to you. And I'm going to download it. We can also store it in the FME Flow resources, but I want it as a file I can share right from my downloads folder, so I'll leave it as download. And then we have the option to include sensitive information. So this is pretty important, and it's something new to FME 2023, I believe. And so basically, if you want sensitive information to be included in the project, that includes like connections with, your passwords and login information, you can leave this selected, and then everything in the project will be encrypted. So then if you're going to import the project into another FME flow, you also need to add the encryption key from this flow to that flow to import the project. My workspaces don't have any sensitive information, and so I don't want to go through using the encryption key today, so I'm going to deselect that and then click Export. But it is just something to be aware of, as it can catch some people sometimes when you share the project file. If you've got include sensitive information checked, you also need to share the encryption key, or else they won't be able to access it. So now we can see I've downloaded that project and I can share that file out. Okay. So jump back to the slides. I'll give you guys, let's take 10 minutes to work through that exercise. It's called Exercise Import, Create, and Export Projects in FME Flow. Complete the quiz, and then we will move on to running workspaces as webhook URLs. Let me know if you have any questions, or raise your hand, call for assistance if you need help, and one of our TAs will help you. Okay, does anybody need more time with that exercise? Let me know in the chat. If not, I'll continue. I'm gonna skip the break at the top of this hour because we really only have one lesson and exercise left. So once we get through those, you'll have free time to work in the lab. Oh, I do see one person 5 more minutes. I can for sure give that. This is a little more advanced and tricky exercise, so no worries. We'll give you a few more minutes. And then we'll continue. So I guess if you are done and you want a quick 5-minute break, you could do that, but otherwise I'm going to skip it.